Thank you very much, Chung. My presentation this morning will be very brief. It's going to focus on the Savills retail chart book. Savills publishes this to provide some comparison across the region. This collects a whole lot of different data and compares them country to country throughout Asia. So that if you are Sacom Real looking at opening a bank in Cambodia, or Metro looking at opening its 15th store in Halong Bay, or a Japanese investor looking at coming into Vietnam, you can get some comparative data within this retail chart book. It's available from us. Let us know. We can give it to you online, or there's lots of hard copies available as well. So into it straight away. The first comparison, I'll just jump through a whole lot of these comparisons. The first chart is the Genie coefficient. This measures the distribution of income amongst a population. What we see is that Vietnam sits very firmly around the middle of the Genie coefficient, which means that our income is quite evenly spread within Vietnam. If we look towards Philippines, Hong Kong, these have a rather large spread between the rich and the poor. What that means is that for Vietnam, there's a very good chance of good retailing, in particular across that middle ground. Having looked through at the other indicators, private consumption, and I apologise, some of the charts don't show very well. Private consumption across all countries in Asia obviously dropped throughout the global financial crisis and into 2009, and it has been turbulent times for a lot of those countries following that. What we do see, and probably not too clearly on this chart, is that Vietnam is around the second highest of private consumption moving into 2012. Telecommunications and savings are very good indicators for the retail market. Unfortunately, this is 2009 data. It's the lowest base we could get, so it has improved somewhat since then. But what is very evident here is that Vietnam has a very high mobile phone penetration, but also many of the other countries within Asia have very high mobile phone penetrations as well. Our internet use is relatively low compared to some of the more mature economies, meaning that can grow significantly. And the last indicator there is the Facebook use, and that's quite low just because of the medium of the Facebook itself. As far as private savings go, generally what we see is that across Asia, private savings are very, very high compared to the Western countries of the UK and Europe. So that bodes very, very well for the retail market in Asia generally, and then specifically within Vietnam. Demographic trends. This is our demographic window, or window of opportunity it's quite often called. We always see the demographic bulge and all those things, and we believe that Vietnam's got a wonderful demographic profile. And I'm actually challenging that. I actually think it's a reasonable demographic profile for retailing, sure. But when we have a look at our peers, our competitors, then some of those other countries nearby actually have a better demographic window. What the demographic window shows is the percentage of working population, working age participants in the population. And so what this shows is that we've got a very, very good, we're moving into a good opportunity, but similarly, so does Indonesia, so does Malaysia, so do a lot of our other competitors. And so we have to be aware that our competitors also have benefits there. Youth bulge. Again, this is the working age population, and what we can see again is that over here, Vietnam is benefiting from the youth bulge. It has a large number of young population. But the next slide shows perhaps the disappointing part of this whole equation is that our literacy rate here is actually quite low and has flatlined for quite some time. Has flatlined for quite some time against all of our competitors. There has been an increase in GDP committed to education over recent times, we know. But what this means is that there could be, coming through, a large pool of workers, albeit not skilled workers, which can be a concern. Retail sales, again, I apologise for the charting, that's not coming out very clear at all. But the retail sales has been very choppy and very, very washy and turbulent. I think if we have a look at the most recent retail sales, when we adjust for CPI, take it out, there's been very little growth. So it has flatlined recently on the back of some very, very strong growth over the years. Looking against all the other, our peer competitors, then Vietnam is still doing very, very well. Retail sales offer. What is on offer in Vietnam compared to our peers? And what this is comparing the fast fashion, the mid-range and the high-end, and the number of stores in each of the locations across Asia. And what we can see that Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh both have a very low offer across all of those mediums, whether it's fast fashion, medium range, or the upper end. In fact, our representation is very, very low here against everybody else. So that means we've got a significant way to grow in those offers. Retail density. This is very, it's a really cutting piece of data actually. It just has a look at a couple of our peer comparators, our peer cities, being Bangkok and Kuala Lumpur. If we have a look at the retail density per person, in Bangkok we're around 0.6, in Kuala Lumpur around 0.8, in Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi then we're not even 0.1. So we have a very, very low retail density on offer in Vietnam, and that means there is a very long way to grow, and this market has a lot to mature. So this is a wonderful opportunity for the future. Again, I apologise for the clarity of these slides, but what it's demonstrating is this is a retail benchmark. It's showing what our rents are for the prime space in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh against all of our peers. And what it demonstrates is that we're down here with our rents being relatively low against all of our other peers, which are coming off the scale up here. So our retail rents are relatively affordable in a regional context. Retail yields. So this is the yield that we return on this asset class of investment. So retail property is yielding somewhere around 10% for a very mature, well-presented retail property. I think that's one of the highest yields within the region. Again, demonstrating that the retail property within Vietnam against its peers is probably an affordable buy. Finally, this last slide is just a quick snapshot of some recent sales in Q3. Savills would like to continue to try and keep transparency evolving, and so we're always demonstrating in our reports the sales and the evidence we use. I think one of the key takeouts of the sales that we've presented here is that many of these, whilst they occurred in Q3, these are not investment properties, these are development properties. So while the end user and the retail development and the residential development may have slowed down, certainly the development sites are still changing hands. So that concludes my part of the presentation. We'll now move on to our question and answer session. If you have some paper in front of you, I think it's been handed around. If you'd like to fill out those, the question and answer or the questions and hand them up to the front, some of the girls, Leanne and the girls, will come through and collect those questions, and then we can put them to the panel.